I think everybody recognizes this iconic scene from My Hero Academia. It is easily one of the best scenes in the entirety of the manga and anime, at least for me, emotionally speaking. I go back every so often to watch this episode and read this chapter in the manga because it was such a emotional sequence, because it was All Might passing the torch down to Izuku, but also relaying a message like he's done. He can no longer carry the mantle of the symbol of peace. He is a broken pillar, and he's not strong enough anymore. He cannot stop evil. And regardless of how you feel about the current events of My Hero, this is still a phenomenal scene within the series. I absolutely love All Might, and I love this scene. And so having a movie centered around those very words, "You're next," instantly piqued my interest, because the very emotion you get from this trailer, like if you watch this sequence, is that it is evil All Might. Evil All Might is the villain of this story. And that instantly, I was just like, okay, so is this kind of like a homage to the what if, like, Superman was evil? Like, you know, it's very clear that the way All Might is presented as a character within My Hero Academia, he's kind of like that Superman type character. And so I'm assuming this is like, what if Superman was evil? And that's what we got going on here. Now, it's very clear by, like, the character that we see kind of looking at Your Next. This is probably the guy that is turning into All Might or whatever, so it's not necessarily All Might, but it might as well be an evil version of him. Now, when I was watching this trailer, I was reminded of this sequence.
Cool, ready for takeoff.
What the? Who are you supposed to be?
So, if you don't know what I'm talking about is that this is Syndrome. And anyone that has watched this movie, The Incredibles, knows just how amazing Syndrome is as a villain. He may not have the best backstory of all time, but it is interesting, his motivation to make everyone super so no one will be super, but also just like he was shunned by Mr. Incredible, and so he became a villain. He was a fanboy that became a villain because he was just shunned by the person he looked up to. And so when you look at, like, this, sequence, this trailer for this movie, it reminds me a lot of that. Most likely when this, whole You're Next, like All Might was relaying this message to everyone out there, the person here that is actually watching this sequence, you can see All Might in the background is a mega fanboy, like a huge fanboy, very similar to Syndrome is, and it's very clear he might have assumed the You're Next was for him, or maybe eventually felt that it wasn't. He got very upset, he felt shunned, and then he became basically the villain, which is, at the end of this trailer, which is pretty interesting. So I do think that the recipe that is being cooked within this movie trailer is actually pretty interesting. It's pretty much like if Superman was evil type of story going on here. I know that not everybody's interested in that, but it is kind of cool to see. Like, how would our team, like Izuku and them, be able to stand up against someone maybe near the strength level as All Might? And, I mean, knowing what I know from the manga and stuff, I am curious, like, what's going on here? How is this person really going to be at the level? Like, is he really going to be as strong as All Might? Is he going to be kind of weaker? There's so many questions I really have, but I legit do love this trailer. It's pretty cool, and I like I said, I like how the very movie is centered around the You're Next type of theme, because it is one of the best lines of the entirety of the series. But with all that being said, though, we need to talk about this. So when is this releasing? Well, if you check the description out, apparently it's going to be releasing in Japan on August 2nd, 2024. So this year. It's going to be releasing later this year. I believe, don't quote me on this one, I don't know if I'm right on this one, but I believe the new season of My Hero is coming out in spring or summer of this year. So this always happens, where, like, when there is a new season of My Hero Academia, there's always a movie kind of airing alongside of it, and I know people like to say completely different teams, etc., but there definitely is probably some strain and effects maybe on the TV adaptation when it comes to a movie being released as well. I mean, we'll see where that goes, but I know for a fact a lot of My Hero Academia fans are probably very upset with the movie being announced for this year, especially since the new season, Season 7, is supposed to come out this year as well. But anyways, I wanted to bring this to people's attention. Like, we basically got a evil Superman plotline. Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this is a bad thing? Be honest. I'm legitimately curious what you all think about this, because I think it's pretty cool. It's a nice unexplored territory for My Hero. You might say this is creatively bankrupt. I know some will definitely say that, but I do think that it is interesting, because I'm curious to see how an evil All Might would be depicted within the story. How far are they willing to push it? And And since, you know, technically My Hero Academia movies are canon, yeah, FYI, if you don't know this, like, most of the time, the movies for My Hero are loosely canon to the actual story of the manga. Like, the manga is referenced to movies. So, with all that being said, this might turn out to be kind of canon as well, to some degree. So, we'll have to see where that one goes. But, yeah, I'm curious. I'm definitely going to want to watch this. Sadly, since it's going to be releasing in Japan, we're going to have to wait like 6 or so months for it to release in English. So, yeah, it's going to be a while until we actually have subtitles and stuff for this movie. But we'll obviously get the details and stuff of the synopsis and all that when it does release in Japan. But I guess I'll leave it at that. I wanted to talk about this, let everybody know that there is a new My Hero Academia movie coming out this year. Are you excited? Are you not? Be honest in the comments below. But with that, be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.